Hey, it's Chris Chico, and in this video I want to share with you how you target on Facebook now based on the new regulations, and how do you go about in determining if you are going to target geographically by location, or if you're going to do a pin drop. And I get a lot of questions about this. I'm going to go ahead and answer that question here in this video. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I keep on saying this, I sound like a broken record. You gotta subscribe to the channel. And it's like going to the buffet and not paying any money. You don't want to be that guy or girl. I don't want to discriminate. Because if you're a girl, a lady, and you're watching the videos and not subscribing, you're just as bad as the guys. So I don't discriminate. All right? But if you are subscribed, leave a tip. Leave me a comment. Leave me a thumbs up. And I'm here again in my in the pool area of my clubhouse, and I am going to use a very fancy device in order to explain exactly what to do with this Facebook targeting for motivated sellers. And the very fancy device that I'm using is my Moleskine notebook. All right, so when it comes to targeting on Facebook, it used to be that we could target in the past. I'm going to put here for Facebook targeting, right? In the past, and in the past for Facebook targeting, we were doing a couple things. We were doing by zip code, right? We were doing by age, okay, 35 to 65. All right. We were also, those are the two primary things that we were doing with our targeting. However, all this here, right here, no longer the case. You can't do that. So what Facebook says is basically that you've got to pick a location or drop a pin in an area that is 15 miles. Oh my God, that is so humongous. That, you know, in Broward County, it is a gigantic area. We've got a lot of people. So how do you do that? Well, there's two ways to do it. If you're going to target an area, you're going to target an area, all right, by county, or you're going to do pin drop. So that is going to depend on the geography of wherever your market is. So for example, if you're in Dallas, Texas, right? Dallas, Texas, you have Dallas here, and then the city, everything else around Dallas expands from the center out. So in that scenario, you are better going ahead and dropping a pin at the center of the city, and then it's going to expand outward into the rest of it. The same thing with, like, if you look at Ohio and some of these other cities, that's how the pin drop works, right? Now, in other areas, like for example, if you look at Florida, if we draw Florida, and I think Florida looks like this, right? Then Broward County is here. Okay, if I drop a pin, then I'm gonna get the Everglades and I'm gonna get half the ocean. So for me, that doesn't work out too well. So in this scenario here, what I'm doing is I am selecting the county. I'm selecting Broward County as the geography and not the pin drop. Now, some of you might say, well, Chico, the problem is that, you know, if you look at, you know, my neck of the woods in Dallas, you know, I want to target like this little section, that little section, and that little section. But now Facebook is forcing me. I don't know so in Dallas, what the problem is that, let's say you might want to target that little section, and that little section. But now Facebook is forcing you to do this entire area. So how do you know you're going to get the right prospects? Well, you're going to get the right prospects because of your ad and your ad copy. And what happens is that if you are writing your ad copy, you're writing certain words inside your ad copy, right? Which is sell your house, right? Sell house, offer, right? As is, and all these various terms in the ad that we're using. So now what's happening is that Facebook, because of the nature of what it reads from your ad, and it's also going to crawl your website, right? Then it's going to know that you're looking for a particular type of prospect in terms of the clients that you're looking for. And so what's going to happen is that it's going to start showing your ads to a variety of different people, right? And that's not a good person. So let's say these are all people, right? So you're going to have ads being shown to a variety of different people. And then as these people, let's say this is your ad, so it shows your ad to these people. As these people interact with your ad, they may click on the ad, they may, open a form but don't submit. And they take all these actions that for you don't seem like actions because you're waiting on somebody to fill out the form, but those are all actions in the eyes of Facebook. Then Facebook is going to start saying, oh, that person is 55. That person lives in zip code 33142. That person lives in 33147. That person is 35. So all of a sudden now it's going to start identifying what these are, and it's going to start saying, hey, you know what? Let's feed more of these people to your ad. And then what happens is now all of a sudden now your ad is going to start to work. Now, here's what happens when you are doing an ad on Facebook, and you have with targeting. All right, let's see if we can make this work here. I figured that just having the phone right over here. So this is your audience that you target. Okay, Facebook is going to select. All right, and it's going to say, I think that we're going to start showing your ad here, and maybe showing your ad to this other sliver, right, of your audience to see what's going on with it. So let's say it starts to show the ad and make some decisions initially, and let's say that then you're not getting any lead forms. You're not getting any lead form submissions. So what happens is that then eventually Facebook is going to start making decisions, right? There are people clicking on your ad, and Facebook is making decisions about who to show the ad to, etc. But at the end, you get 0 submissions, right? You get 0 leads. So what happens is that then Facebook then determines that, you know what, it starts to fizzle out. These people that we're targeting are just not the right prospects. So in this scenario, you'd have to continue to spend more money in the hopes that Facebook would be able to find the right people. Or what you can do is you can say, I'm going to just take this campaign, I'm going to pause it, I'm going to take that campaign and duplicate it, and I'm going to start the process again. And now Facebook is going to select another group of people inside that prospect, inside that group. And so then now it might hit. Now, this time around, it does hit the right people because people start submitting the forms. And then all of a sudden now, you start to go from, hey, I got, on day one, you got like 2 leads. Day 2, you got like 3 leads. Day 4, right? Day 3 to 4, you're consistently getting 2 to 3 leads a day, and you're doing great with that. And that's because it hit the right audience. In this scenario, then if I'm started off with a budget of $50, I might say, well, gee, I'm going to take that budget, and on day 3 or day 3 or 4, because I'm going to keep on running this campaign, then I'm going to say, I'm going to increase that budget. And I'm going to increase that budget because I want to be able to spend more money. And so then I might raise that budget, on day 3, I might raise that budget to $75, right? Because I'm like, well, gee, they're finding the right people. I'm filling out so I'm going to ride this wave. I'm going to ride this wave as best I can in order to be able to extract as many leads as possible from Facebook. Because the moment you take and you pause that campaign, it takes it out of the auction, and there's no, even if you restart it, many times it's never going to catch the same momentum as it did before. So you want to be able to ride that wave of good prospects. And now again, if you tried this one and it didn't work, and you might say, well, I'm not going to try that campaign again. I'm not going to try that ad ever again. You can't say that because it's too small of a segment of that audience. Many times I could just take that same campaign, duplicate it, run it again, and I get better results. So you have to be mindful of that. Now, one of the things that I would definitely recommend is not trying to circumvent Facebook policies in any way whatsoever. So right now, if you're running ads on housing and you are trying to be, ninja and trying to avoid getting underneath the radar so you can advertise with the zip codes for housing, I would definitely say you stop, because they're going to find out, they're going to ding you. I had an account that was, I know of somebody whose account was disabled. Their entire profile was disabled because they kept on trying to run ads. And they didn't ban the account. They actually banned the individual because he was running a bunch of ads on a bunch of different multiple accounts for zip codes. And Facebook just said, okay, forget it. We're deactivating that account. And we spoke to somebody on Facebook, and it was interesting. They said that they deactivate 6,000 accounts a day. I mean, Deactivate or deactivate 6,000 accounts a day, which is a lot. You know, think about the size of Facebook. Your account gets deactivated, you're just a peon, and you're gonna have to wait. I know a guy that was running millions and millions of dollars of traffic. His account got deactivated. He had to wait for like weeks until somebody got to him, and there's no clout. You have no clout with Facebook. So do things right. Don't go and try to circumvent what Facebook is doing. Just work around it. All right, that's what you have to do. Now, some people would say that, hey, this here is not as good as what we had before with the zip codes. And you could argue that. However, I would argue against it. Because with the zip code ads, when we were doing the zip code ads, we had to, you know, if we had a series of zip codes, we had to continually move the zip codes around and move them around such that, because we had to rotate them, right, all the time, because they would just stop working because the audiences were really, really small, right? So one of the things that people ask me is, hey, is this worse than what we had before? Because I was running zip code ads. Now, the problem with zip code ads was that when we were doing a zip code ad, depending on the size, depending on location, the zip code could be anywhere between 9,000 to, you know, say 25,000 people inside that zip code. And Facebook does not like small audiences. And so what happened is that we always struggled, right, with high CPMs, which is what the way that Facebook charges you, you know, they charge us per impression. Every 1,000 impressions we get charged. So high CPMs, all right, and we were also dealing with the fact that we had a high frequency rate, meaning that Facebook will take this audience here, which is the same principle that I showed you before, but now this audience is much smaller, and it would just start to show the ad to people to see if anybody would go ahead and submit the form, submit the lead form. And then if not enough people submitted the lead form, then it would get stuck. Because what happens is that for the optimal optimization of the campaign, Facebook would really like to have 50, but at the bare minimum, 25 to 30 conversions a week. There was no way that with the zip code targeting, we were going to get 25 conversions a week, right, per ad set. No way, because there just wasn't enough bodies in there in order for us to get 25 lead forms submitted to that. So what ended up happening is that at the end, Facebook's optimization fizzled out. Because even if we did get the right audience, right, that caught on in that particular zip code, that audience would be so small that eventually we would not be able to achieve that 25 conversions for the week, which means that it would fizzle out. So now, however, because we have a much larger audience, now we have a better chance of getting to that 25 conversions a week, because now we're dealing with an area, like if I'm dealing with Broward County, I have an area of 1.4 million people. If I'm running a campaign that is targeting that whole area, and I'm running an ad set, let's say I'm running an ad with interest, one ad set in that particular county, I have enough of an audience. And if I give it enough of a budget, then now I have a chance of being able to get, I didn't mean to put the dollar signs, being able to get 25 conversions, right, for the week. And so then now I have a chance for that campaign to run longer, right? Whereas with the zip code targeting now I have a chance for that campaign to run longer as well, because with the zip code targeting, we would be able to run that campaign for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Then all of a sudden, like it would start here, and then it would just go down in terms of number of leads. So then we would have to, around day 5 or day 6, we would have to go ahead and redo the entire campaign over, republish it, and that way in order to be able to have a chance of getting more leads. Here with these audiences, now we have a chance of that campaign being able to be consistent across the board on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which now gets us to the 25 prospects that submitted a lead form over the course of a week, which means that our campaigns will run longer, will run more efficiently than they did before with the zip code targeting. So that's why I think that in the end, this change is going to be better than what we were doing before. And actually, I'm not going to say, let me rephrase that, because I'm phrasing that as if I'm saying, like, hey, I think I don't have any data. I have data. I'm running campaigns with a much larger budget, like 75, 100 bucks a day, that are continuously producing leads day after day over the course of a week, getting us to the 25, which means that now we're having a campaign that's going to do better over the longer period of time without us having to fiddle around with it all the time. All right, so forgive my notebook. I should probably use a different notebook because now I'm going to be annoyed at the fact that I use all those scribbles on my journal. I don't have the clipboard with me. I've done these with clipboard videos. Are you okay with me doing it with my notebook? I'm here relaxing. I figured you and I have a chat together. So I took out the notebook and I wrote my notes down. Do you like Chico? Don't do that. Don't do that crap anymore. If you do that anymore, I'm going to stop watching your videos and I'm going to unsubscribe. Let me know. All right. So remember, if you want to run Facebook ads for motivated sellers, click on the link in the description. You'll be able to have a chance to attend the training and also have an opportunity to join my private Facebook group where I teach and answer questions and give you every single detail you would want to know about running Facebook ads for motivated sellers effectively and be able to get all the leads you want and not have to do cold calling and not have to do direct mail and not have to do any of that stuff that I've done before. So I'm not telling you like, oh, I've done that stuff before. Cold calling, I've done enough to know that I didn't want to do it. Direct mail, I've done more direct mail than anybody else out there. And at the end, this is much better. No competition. So check it out. Check the link in the description. I'll talk to you guys later. I got to get to work.